Good evening, everyone.
My name is Lorraine. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. We have a blizzard coming in. We thought it was going to be a snowstorm, but the winds are going to be so strong, so they tell us, that it's supposed to reach blizzard standards. So what I'm going to do is a vlog, which the way I've never understood that. I think what it is that I give my impressions of a book as I'm reading. Oh my goodness, it's starting to come down. I've only been out for a second. So this is the book I'm going to be, whoops. This is the book that I'm going to be reading in front of the fire while it blizzards. I've been looking forward to this. I have to look up who recommended this because I've been searching. Well, I'll tell you about it when I go inside. It's snowing too much. Okay, we've got the fire going. The cat is in her roundabout, sleeping there. She usually sleeps on the couch, but when we have a fire going, she likes to sleep down there. And the mystery of the Great Swamp. We talk about books that we're looking forward to, and this book I have been looking forward to since. I can actually tell you it would be May of, well, I'm not sure what the year would be, but it was the year of grade 5 in the month of May. And my parents were moving from London, Ontario to Toronto, Ontario, and, well, the small town of Markham. And we were just about at the end of this book. And I have no idea how it ended. I was really enjoying it. And my book was, well, it was a school book. So I thought that my book was a red cover with this illustration on it, but because I just remember it being darker and mysterious. So before I go along too far, I want to thank one of my readers who gave me the clue as to who the author was and the title. I wasn't sure. I was getting all the wrong books, and I just knew they weren't the right stories, and someone in the comments gave me the correct information. It took me a while to track down this book, and then I ordered it, I think from... No, where it was from Mississauga. That's right, from Mississauga at a used book vendor. Okay, that's the title page. If that isn't the best title page, and I don't know what is. Who can forget that kind of a book? Okay, next. This is the picture that has haunted me. I'm trying to think how old I was when I was in grade 6. Like, we're talking about, 50-ish years, something like that. I'm 66 now, so yeah, okay, I don't feel like doing the math. Anyways, this picture haunted me. And so when I was looking at the other books and they were all kind of nice and adventurous looking, I thought, no. And it was this picture that was in my head. And as soon as I saw this, I thought, yes, this is exactly what I remember from this book. So I thought this was towards the end of the book, but maybe it just stuck in my mind. But this picture is at the front of the book. So my goal now is after dinner, which is being cooked. I can smell great food coming my way. I'm going to settle down with the blanket, the fire, the cat, and read a few chapters. Power on.
You didn't do the record?
No.
Oh dear. You got it. You can do it again. You'll do it even better this time. Even more excited.
Okay, it's in the evenings. The blizzard is blowing. It's not howling, but it's blowing. I'll show you in a couple seconds. And I've just finished to the end of chapter 4 in The Mystery of the Great Swamp by Marjorie A. Kapf. And I'm going to read you the last paragraph of chapter 2. Then In desperation, he pushed fiercely with his pole against the soft mud, pushed and strained with all his strength until at last the little boat came free, skimmed lightly over the last of the run, then whirled and burst in a great shower of white foam out onto the sparkling waters of the open lake. And then we go straight into chapter 3. Oh, it is so exciting. Now I know why I love adventure stories. I was reading that when I was about, 12? Something like 12? No wonder I think adventure stories are great. And this kind of pacing and this kind of detail and, and the tension. Oh my goodness, this lady knows how to write tense, because that's page 24. And I have been tense the whole time I'm reading. So what have we got? We've got Jeb, J-E-B, and his little dog Mac. And they're in a little boat and in the swamps. Okay, one of the first things I discovered about this book is the word Okefenokee, Okefenokee Swamp. I've known that little phrase all my life, and I had no idea why. Because why would I know that? That's deep in the south of the USA somewhere. It's not a Canadian piece of geography, but I've known about the Okefenokee Swamp. And about punting. Why would I punt in the middle of, Ontario? No, that would not be the right boat for that particular environment. So, Jeb and Mac are in their little punt boat, and he's poling it, and he's in a swamp, and this swamp is over 400,000 acres, and there are undiscovered areas as far as Jeb is concerned, and his dad is also, I guess what you could call him, a swamp man. And the people that Jeb knows in his community, they all know the swamp really well, but they tend to stick to the edges of it. So there's all kinds of areas in the middle that have never been seen by these people. Of course, there's First Nations people there, or were. So there is a story about what they think may or may not have happened to the people that first inhabited that area, because there are burial mounds. Jeb has, on a previous occasion, the week before, seen what he thinks of might be a piece of undiscovered, untraveled swamplet area. And so he and the dog get in the boat and they head down what's called a boat run. And that's just sort of, it's not really a creek, it's just kind of it's just a break between the mud banks between one body of water and the next body of water. So where I just read to you, he breaks through and he comes into this oval lake that's just gorgeous. And there's an island in the middle of that he thinks no one has ever been on. So he's going towards this island, except mums, as mums will do, have said, don't come home without any fish. So he's got to catch a bunch of fish before he can go to the island. And so good thing he does, because out of nowhere comes this unearthly, ungodly sound. He can't figure out what it is. It's not a bird call. It's not a wild animal's call. What could it be? He has no idea. And he freaks out. And so where I'm finished reading, he's just finished freaking out, and he's back in the main part of the swampland where he knows the area. So heading back for home, and thank God he's got the fish in the boat. I'm just loving this. Oh my gosh, I just really love a kid's thriller. I love a kid's adventure. I have no idea what's going to happen. When I read up on Good Books what this book is all about, it basically just says that Jeb was in his boat and came across an unearthly sound and doesn't know what it's all about. So we're not given any kind of clues in Goodreads as to what this book is all about. So far, believe it or not, after like 60, no, it couldn't have been 60, after at least 50 years, I remember this book. There's so much that I recognize. I knew there was going to be an archaeologist. I knew there was going to be a mum. I knew there was going to be a puppy. Because there's not a puppy on the cover. Oh, yes, there is, but I just thought it was a sack. Anyways. Why is that funny? It's Steve thinks that's funny. Okay. Now the camera's jiggling with us laughing. Okay, so I remember this book. So I don't remember the ending, which is the whole point of having found this book and rereading it. I'm going to go and shut the camera off, and hopefully the next thing you see is a little update on the blizzard that we're having. Okay, when I brought you out the first time, we could see the porch. It's too deep to step out onto. I've got my runners on. The path has filled in about, 2 inches or so. Sidewalks filled in. Snowplow hasn't been by. We still have snow coming down. Although the wind isn't too bad right now. It's kind of quiet. So that is snow coming down. It's not blowing. And I don't know how fast the winds are supposed to be. I thought quite a bit. Oh. Can you hear it a little bit? I'm not sure if you can hear it. There we go. Okay, so that was just a little bit of our storm. I don't consider that bad winds, although it's sort of a U-shaped sound that of wind that we can hear. But that's when it's gentle. When it's like really honking, then it's just kind of a one long, great big train whistle kind of sound. It isn't a train whistle, of course, but it just has that kind of and it stays really constant, and it's got one direction to it. And when it's this kind of weather, it tends to be more swirly and changes directions, and it's gusty, but it doesn't have, until it really gets going, it doesn't have that whirring in the treetops. But I do love when that happens. I do love a blizzard noise. It's just whoosh, and then it's quiet. And whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Okay, that's me imitating a blizzard. I'm going to read a couple more chapters, and then I'm going to head to bed. And hopefully the power stays. Good morning, everyone. The blizzard is over, and this is a picture of the backyard. You can see the pigeons and possibly mourning doves. I can't really. They're all gray at this point. At the bird feeder at the back, and the backyard is pretty full of snow. I've seen it worse, but that's pretty good. Although that is 2 snowstorms worth. So yeah, didn't all come down in one day. Okay, the blizzard is over, and it's a snow day for some people. The schools are closed, and as a retired person, I can have a snow day whenever I want, although it's harder in the summer. But yeah, we're just taking it easy. Steve was out shoveling the end of the driveway. I don't know why. I would have left it, but anyhow, he was out there shoveling, and funny story, which has nothing to do with books. So we live amongst a neighborhood it's full of students and people that for one reason or another are transient, in the sense that they're here on secondments to the universities or the hospitals or the military. And so it's a very fluid neighborhood. And so we usually check in the fall with whoever has just moved in, because it's usually students, and we say, if you need anything, there will be storms. Don't forget to buy stuff for power outages and stuff. And So Steve was out shoveling, and he turned and looked over his shoulder and across the road where the snowbanks are about 3 feet high at the end of the driveways. There's a little, I don't know what kind of car it is, but it's small. It's small, like a Honda Civic kind of little thing. And Buddy is trying to drive his car through the snowplows through the snowbank. And this has been accumulating over a couple of snowstorms because they just, for whatever reason, have not cleared it out. So not only is it high, it's pretty thick. And so he decides he's just going to back through it. Oh, my word. And this guy gets out of the car and he doesn't have any snow stuff on, no gloves, no hat. He's in runners. He's not wearing a snow coat, just in a hoodie. And she's like, oh, here we go again. And they tried to dig a little bit out. They had a shovel, but at a certain point, they were sort of trying to push it through because he got someone in the inside of the house. It was a girl, and she started to laugh because I think she realized. And I thought, oh my God, don't laugh, because if he gets angry, he might throw snow at you. Anyhow, luckily, they gave up because we're both, at this point, Stu's come inside. Now, why haven't we offered them a shovel? In fact, we have. And in fact, we've offered everybody shovels. We usually have two. We had one break last year, so we never replaced it. But we usually have 2 or 3 shovels, have offered them. And in fact, then we see they have a shovel on their porch. So it was a choice. It was a choice to ram the car through this. So now he's stuck across the sidewalk, his driveway, his sidewalk, and the end of the little sidewalk driveway piece, snowbank, he's stuck. So he's got to get his friend to push forward. And he drives right as far as he can go up to the end of his driveway when they finally clear whatever he's stuck on. And Steve and I both look at each other and think, oh my God, he is just going to take a run at it, and he's just going to try and slam his way through. And like, we could just see this about to become movie material, because we thought he'll drive through, manage to bash his way through, and go straight into one of the snowplows or garbage trucks that are around, because there's not very many cars on the road. So we both had exactly the same thought. But thankfully, the guy decided, no, he'd had enough. Wherever he was going, he was probably late for. And so, yeah. We get some pretty interesting thing. Last year, there was a fellow that was not the house across from us, but one over, and similar kind of a story, except that person decided to try and solve the problem with a broom handle. Again, yes, we have offered shovels. No, we don't offer to shovel. We've both got bad shoulders, and these are generally, for the most part, healthy teenagers, healthy young men or women. And so we figure, anyhow, yeah, you came here for the book. So I managed to read another 3 chapters, and the adventures continue. We've got Jeb. He has managed to get home. He's in a bit of a state of panic, and how's he going to explain his state of panic and being home early to Mom? Well, remember, he's got the pail of fish. He's okay. Mom is more interested in the fish. And he's got a little bit of internal anxiety going on, because it's not like him to be afraid of things. So he's thinking, like, I've got to go back. I don't want to go back. Oh, I'm going to have to face my fears. He's got that kind of thing going on. But when he hops out of the boat, he's greeted by Nob, N-O-B, his pet alligator. Like, in a swamp full of alligators, he decides to adopt one and turn it into a pet. And I'm just thinking, how's that going to work when the alligator's full size and becomes friendly with humans? Okay, that's another book. Maybe that's, what was that? Old Yeller was the one where the dog dies at the end. Maybe this would be Old Gator. So he gets back. He's had lunch with his mom. He's kind of calmed down, and upturned to guys, just random people who've gone fishing. And his dad's a guide for fishermen. And so they say, well, we'd like to go out fishing, but Jeb's dad isn't there, which is another story. And they're like, well, we'll go without your dad, and we know the way. It's not that far. We'll be fine. And Jeb's like, no, we have a policy. If we give a boat out, my dad or myself have to go with whoever's in the boat. And they're like, no, you're just a kid. We'll be fine. So they hop in the boat, like they've been adults. And Jeb's like, okay, what am I going to do now? His mom wasn't there. She's gone, because she would have helped if that had been the case. But she had gone up to the neighbors. So these two guys are in the swamps where people get lost, and yes, they get lost. And but part of the problem is that Dad and the person that he was guiding, who was an archaeologist, and they've gone to look for artifacts, come back, and everybody's all excited by these artifacts. Okay, so we have to do a little. We have to do a little bit of gymnastics, mental gymnastics. It's written in the 60s. We have no sensitivity around archaeological sites that are related to First Nations. Had they been Egyptian, we would have been more respectful. But in this book, they're just digging up the mounds and they're just looking for stuff. And, you know, it's that bad old kind of Native people aren't good people, they aren't real people thing happening in that little piece of the book. And so that's a problem for current day readers. But it is the way of the world in that time. So everybody's excited about these artifacts that have come in. Jeb knows that those guys are out, but he's just hoping that they'll come back on time. He's hoping. He's hoped too long. It's now dinner time and it's going to be dark any second, and there's no way they want to pitch a search for these missing fishermen at that time of the day. So everybody goes to bed and just hopes the guys survive. And the next morning, Jeb gets up with Dad, crack of dawn, they're off. Dad goes to the fishing spot thinking maybe they've had boat trouble, and Jeb has to go the other way, which leads him to the Emerald Lake, the one he discovered, the one where he's become so overstimulated and afraid. So he doesn't want to have to go. Gets there, and we see all this mental turmoil going on. Gets there, and yes, the two fishermen are in the wrong spot. They are there. And when he's rescuing these two guys who are really not in any kind of trouble. They're just lost. They would have been found. And in fact, they didn't even really think of themselves as lost. They had camped and cooked some fish and were just more or less headed on their way home or back. They thought they could find their way home. So Jeb's helping them get their camp struck and all the rest of it. And he comes across an arrow, a modern day arrow that matches the arrow in the archaeological dig. Everybody thinks that this Indian group is gone, but here's the physical evidence that there's somebody who knows how to make the same arrows as however many hundreds of years ago, that archaeological arrow. So that's where we are now. We have got Jeb has told his parents he's going to go out for the day. Well, the men get rescued. Jeb goes out the next day. He wants to figure out the mystery of the new arrow that he's not told anyone about. He's figured that if he goes back and he can try and find, he might be able to find the maker of the arrow. You know, a little bit of an interesting idea, but a little bit illogical. So he's gone off to do exactly that. He's back at Emerald Lake. He's told his parents he's going to be out for a couple of nights. He and the dog. They've got, the gear that they need. And I'm just finished where he has discovered an even more secret boat run that leads out of the lake. And he's going to go down. We're going to go down the secret passage. Chapter 8 begins. I'll see you later. Well, it's a couple hours later, and I have finished one of my life's goals to conclude this book. I loved it. I loved it. You know, one of the things I want to show you is the back cover. They almost look like mirror images of each other. But part of the issue for the story is that everybody gets lost in the swamp. So although they look like they're mirror images, they aren't. There are smaller details that just let you know that Jeb could, he could make this choice or he could make that choice, but he could also make that choice and he could also make that choice or turn around from where he was coming from. So it wasn't until I had the book face down on the couch beside me that I realized how clever the cover is. So yeah, I didn't remember, or let's say that differently. I hadn't got all the way through this book. I had not finished it. So it turns out that I had left it somewhere around the point where a big storm is coming in, which is around page 90-ish or something. And so what's happened is Jeb has gone back to the island that he wanted to explore, and it was okay. The first night was okay, but then the next night he decides he's going to go to this other secret pathway that wasn't his original intention, but became his second intention, and follows it along. And a big storm comes along, and well, he makes a poor choice. He keeps going instead of trying to find a way to stay put or go back. And along the way, he loses the punting pole. And oh, what else happened? Oh, somewhere in there, so I'm letting the chronology slip away. The Mac and Jeb have gone looking for something more substantial than fish to eat. They're hoping that maybe they can find a raccoon or rabbits or something like that they can eat. And as they're going along, a boar comes along their way. And the dog Mac is trying to protect Jeb from the boar, a wild boar. And so he's pushing the dog is pushing the boar backwards, like sort of herding him backwards. And eventually the boar kind of ends up in the water, and there's a nearby alligator. I know I'm spoiling this story, but I just have my doubts as to how many of you are actually going to go and seek this book out. So an alligator gets the boar. The dog's been hurt in the fight. Jeb sort of does his best to sort things out, and he gets the dog in the boat, and eventually he finds himself drifting ashore on this incredible island, which has a sandy beach, which is kind of crazy. And they fall asleep on the sandy beach. And next morning, Jeb is going to see if he can reconnaissance the island a little bit, see if there's any chance of any kind of larger game. And he's thinking, back when he was thinking about that arrow that he had found, and finally figuring out that it was the sound of a bow and arrow twanging and releasing, that's the sound he had heard. Thinking there might be people around, maybe. So he's also sort of looking to see whether this is a fairly substantial island. Maybe there's a settler on it or something. So he comes across a pathway with a footprint on it, and he starts to follow it, and he comes across an Indian lad. Now, one of the things I have not done, because I just finished this, is find out the name of the tribe that would have been in this area historically. So if I can find that, because it is fantasy, or it is fiction book, so who's to say whether this is true or not? So the two boys figure out that they need to help each other in some kind of a fashion, and the Indian boy takes Jeb back to his village, which has been decimated by disease in some sort. So there's just the boy, Tilo, it turns out his name is, and his grandmother, or the last remaining elderly female, we're not sure, because there is a complete 100% language barrier between the two boys. So the next day, they're trying to figure out how to communicate with each other, because Tilo and his grandmother are running out of food, so he needs to go hunting. And Jeb has realized that they're really they're failing. There's very little corn, and the old lady is really struggling, and Tilo is just too young to cope with things. So he tries to help out in the garden, and then they go hunting, and there's this amazing picture. This is the Indian lad Tilo, and this is Jeb, and so we've got a situation of two different cultures clashing, and Jeb eventually convinces Tilo to help him find his way home, and Jeb is now in the position of a really, really important secret. But also Tilo is in possession of the knowledge that he has a friend. When things get really dire, he can find Jeb and ask for rescue. So I think Jeb's intention is to be able to leave some corn and supplies for Tilo and his grandmother at the spot where the arrow was found way, way back. This book is 166 pages, and I flew through it, but I'm a pretty quick reader, and Oh man, I enjoyed it. There was something happening just every chapter. There, if it wasn't an alligator booming, or if it was the fire not firing, or that boar showed up twice, and there was just something going on each time. And yeah, of course, it's set into a swamp where there's the possibility of these kinds of encounters with wildlife, and um, but Jeb had the skill set that he needed in order to survive, even though he's still got his fishing pole and his jackknife. So he can survive. He's got fresh water. He knows how to fish, and he knows how to get a fire going. So he's not going to be in trouble of starvation. He's going to be in trouble of like over those 400,000 acres of finding his way to someone who can help him. Of course, there's not to say that whoever he finds is going to help, right? You don't always, not everybody's helpful. So he's got a lot of stuff going on in his head as well as in the action. And she handles this, Marjorie Zapf handles this really, really well. You really get into Jeb's head. The illustrations are by Carl Kidwell. And I'm pretty sure now, okay, I could be a liar again. I'm pretty sure I looked up Marjorie Zapf to see if she had written other things. And I don't remember the answer. There's no point in telling you a lie. I don't remember the answer if she's written other things. So, yeah, that's something I need to do. Now, while I was looking at this, I realized on the back that this was the publisher. It is the Weekly Reader Children's Book Club. So I looked that up online, and there are all kind of publishers, modern day publishers, that have got book clubs for kids. So that was a dead end. But I scrolled a little bit further, and on eBay there were some books that were being sold as packages, 10 or 12. And so this children's book club, wide range of age groups, like picture books, first chapter books to this group. I don't know how far up the grade levels this book club went, but I did look at one group of books and I was interested to see what else would I have been reading had I stayed in that classroom. And there would also have been The Laughing Dragon by a person called Mahood. There was The Ghost of Windy Hill by Clyde Robert Bulla, Bulla. Mystery in Little Tokyo by Frank Bonham. Where the Lilies Bloom by Vera and Bill Cleaver. Now that's a great book. Oh my goodness. I had no idea. I remember reading it, but I'm pretty sure I read it when I was older, not in grade 5. But they've got it grouped with books for grade 5. Figure in the Shadows by John Bellairs and Ramona the Brave by Beverly Cleary. Now, I remember seeing, Ramona books all over the place. And then I think when my kids were young, they were still popular, but I feel like someone had written them down a couple of levels, that someone had added into the group, or maybe Beverly Cleary did, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention at the time. So there's a bunch of books, 6 books that I think I'd like to track down and see whether they're as exciting as this book was. So that's a life goal achieved. Having come to the end of this book, found out what the ending is, liked the ending. As I say, it's a little bit, the relationship between First Nations and settler cultures is from the era. It's not enlightened in any kind of a way. But boy, it has adventure, it has independence, it has creativity, problem solving, a solid set of internal values as well as external values that the parent group has set for Jeb, that at this point in his life he's still in acquiescence with, and they are things like being responsible and keeping your word and telling the truth. So they're not hard values to go along with. I just 100% 5 out of 5 for me. Now, is that a nostalgic 5 out of 5? That's possible. Someone else would have to read it and give it more of a critical analysis. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna sit in the bliss of having some piece from my childhood, which was not great, turn out to be just fantastic. So yeah, it was a great reading experience for me. I'm very happy about it. Well, the roads are more or less clear. The blizzard is more or less over. Well, it is over, but it's just windy, and now it's more just getting out and trudging through the snow. And I'm not going to do that. I am going to find myself another book. Steve's going to put a fire on in a little while, and we're going to just enjoy another evening. Steve's got banjo friends that he's meeting tonight at. He's turned out to be a popular banjo player at a certain pub where he goes with a couple of others, and every Monday night they get a free hamburger in exchange for about 2 hours worth of music, maybe more, and just having a hoot doing it. And I thought maybe he wouldn't because it's crappy out, but he's like, no, you can't keep me away. So that's it for me. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I will see you next week. Bye bye for now.